Hi guys, so Joey25 Joker asked me when will my owl stop screeching? Oh yes, the screeching. um, so in the first few months that you have your little cute young owl, you'll have to feed it multiple times a day, and it's very normal that every time your little owl gets hungry, it is going to screech a lot. It is going to screech your ears off. And whenever it sees you bringing the food or preparing the food, it will screech even harder because it's like, where's my food? Where's my food? Yes, where's the food? Where is the food? Where's the food? Do you want food? Yes? Yes? Do you want the food? You want the food, huh? Okay, so yeah, that's normal. Have you ever seen an owl's nest? They sound like freaking demons. So yes, this is normal. Yes, 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 yes. You love me? I love you too. You're so loyal. She's loyal, isn't she? Staying with me for that amount of time. I love you. I love you. Okay, I love you. This is natural behavior, and it's just a phase you need to accept and go through. But if you don't want your owl to grow up to be a demon that demonizes your entire house and will be screeching your ears off all of the time, then I have a few tips for you. So, when Lucky was young, she would play games with me, she would fool me around, and she would play tricks on me. So I would put her on the table so I could feed her, and she wouldn't want to eat. And this is because I was too insecure. When you feed your little owl, you need to be really confident, because otherwise they might play games with you. I don't know why they do this, but they do this. I think it's their kind of humor or something. So what she did was she wouldn't want to eat at night, and then at night when I was trying to get some rest, she would start to screech. And I would be worried, like, oh my god, yeah, she didn't eat this evening, or she didn't eat enough, so I should go and check on her. Don't do this. It's a horrible mistake. There are two reasons why your young owl screeches at night. Reason one, it's hungry again. But most likely, reason two, it wants your attention. And if you give it attention when it screeches, it will learn that you're its little slave, and you will come to her or him whenever it screeches. So I know it's heartbreaking, but if your little owl screeches at night, just ignore it, even if it lasts for hours. Don't even be like, shh, be quiet, because that's giving attention. Don't give it any attention at night. It broke my heart when I had to do this, because I was really worried and I was over concerned, but the moment I started ignoring this behavior, she would stop screeching at night. I think it lasted for a few days, and then after a few days of completely ignoring her at night, she would just stop and she wouldn't screech at night anymore. When your owl gets older and when it's ready to sit on the perch and eat whole baby chicks, it will still screech when it's hungry. By that age, Lucky entered a phase where whenever I would get home from work, she would screech my ears off. And my mentors told me to just ignore it and she would stop this behavior in a few days. But she didn't. She kept screeching for hours and hours, and it was so loud. I couldn't stand it anymore after a while. It drove me and my boyfriend insane. So what I did was, whenever she started screeching, I put her and her perch in another room. Kind of like a timeout that you do with a kid. I just put her in another room, and the moment she stopped screeching, and this could be even after 15 minutes, because she realized, oh, I'm being punished. They're putting me in another room all alone, and whenever she would stop screeching, I would reward her again by putting her back in the living room with us. If she would start screeching again, I would put her in the other room again. And I think it took us about 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then she stopped this behavior. And whenever she would do it again, we would just punish her again and reward her again. So punish bad behavior, reward good behavior. If your owl is imprinted on you and it's used to live with you in the living room or whatever room you live in, it hates being alone. It wants to be with you all the time, and it likes attention. So putting it alone in a room is a real punishment for the owl. And owls are really smart. They will make the connection, you know. So, but you have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, it's not going to work, and your owl is going to turn into a monster. So this is really important. So yeah, when she entered another screeching phase, so first you have the natural behavior phase. There's nothing you can do about it. It's totally natural, and if you love your owl, you'll just accept it and be like, okay, this is going to pass. Then when they enter adulthood, well, they're not really adult at 4 months, but when they have all their feathers and they're ready to sit on the perch, they are going to start screeching whenever they feel hungry, whenever they want food. And that's when you start to teach them that screeching isn't going to be rewarded. A certain amount of screeching is normal though. You have an owl. It's not a dog, it's not a cat, it's kind of an unusual pet. So yeah, first you have the natural screeching, which is totally normal. Except when they screech at night, when you're trying to get some rest. Ignore the screeching. Your owl will be fine. It's not going to die. It's not going to be too hungry. Just ignore the screeching. Don't go and pet it, not even if it sounds really pathetic, because owls can be really manipulative. And I'll just tell you one example. The owl of my mentors, it passed away a few years ago, unfortunately, but they had an owl. It was a she, and she was called Mestley. It was the sweetest barn owl ever. Everyone could pet her. She was really social, but as every owl, she could be really manipulative. So this one time, my mentors had to put her on a diet so that she would be able to fly demonstrations again, because owls don't fly when they aren't hungry at all. So they put her on a diet, and just to reassure you, it's not animal abuse. It would be abuse to not fly her and to keep feeding her too much food, you know. That's bad for their livers. So yeah, if you want them to fly, you have to put them on a feeding schedule so that they will stay hungry enough to want to fly for their food. You are kind of creating a natural situation where they're getting hungry and they feel like hunting, but instead of hunting, they come to you, and then they fly back to the place you want them to fly, and they fly back to you, and every time they get a piece of food. So that's what I mean. So they had to put her on a feeding schedule again, and she didn't like that, of course. But the men, so my mentors are a couple, they're married, and the man was really strict, and he knew what he had to do, and he was really strict. But the woman was more of a softie, and the owl knew this, Mestley knew this. So what would happen was she wouldn't get food for one day, or she would only get one chick instead of 2 or 3, and whenever the man passed by, she would just be sitting on the perch like, okay, I'm fine, I'm happy. And whenever the woman passed, she would lower her head like she was really depressed, and she'd look really sad, like she was really sick and depressed, and like, poor me, I don't get any food. I'm so hungry and so sad and depressed. And it was really funny because when the woman had passed, she would just put her head back up again and be fine. She would totally manipulate the woman, and it was so funny to watch. And owls are really smart. They can manipulate you. They know emotions. They have emotions themselves, and that's just something I want to warn you for. So at night they will screech for your attention or for food, but especially your attention. And if you give in to this, then you'll create a habit of them screeching to get a reward. Don't do this. Just ignore the behavior and it will go away. Then if they enter a phase where they screech your ears off whenever they're hungry, or Lucky would have the habit of thinking like, oh, Elke is home, so I'm gonna get my food now. Or, oh, Elke is home, so we're gonna go for a walk now. And you shouldn't confirm this thinking pattern. So when you come home, let her screech for a few minutes. If after a few minutes she doesn't stop, just put her in another room until she stops. When she stops, put her back in the room you always put her in. And that's how you learn your owl not to drive you insane. And like I said, a certain amount of screeching is normal. Lucky still screeches when she gets hungry, but now if I just ignore it for a few minutes, she stops. And if she keeps screeching, then I know that I did something wrong and that she is way too hungry and that she's actually too skinny. But that doesn't ever happen because I weigh her, so I know what her flying weight is and I know what her full weight is, and yeah, I just know her really well, so that doesn't ever happen. Yeah, I hope this video helped you. I hope I didn't forget to mention anything.